I would like to call the June 5th, 2016 meeting of the Riverton City Finance Committee to order at 6:46 PM. The chair would entertain a motion for consideration of claims.
I would move for consideration of claims to be paid in the amount of $189,402.59. Checks written for payroll liabilities for 6/24/16 in the amount of $525,983.22. Manual checks in the amount of $16,662.86 for a total of $732,048.67.
Okay, and I'll second it. Do you have any questions about the bills?
No.
Okay, me neither. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Stephen, do you have anything?
No, Mrs. Chairman.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
I now call the July 5th, 2016 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Would Councilmember Bailey lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, would Councilmember Peterson offer an invocation?
Our beloved Heavenly Father, we are grateful for this night that we have to come together as a city council and to be able to come together and to be able to discuss the needs of this great city that we live in and that we call home. And we ask you to please watch over us, that we will have thy spirit to lead us and to open up our minds and our hearts as we make those decisions. We ask you to please watch over the citizens of this great city. And we ask for these things in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Would the city secretary please conduct a roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilmember Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilmember Martin Canan.
Here.
Councilmember Lee Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Sean Peterson.
Here.
Councilmember Holly Jimin.
Here.
Mayor John Lars Baker.
I'm here, and I would entertain a motion to excuse Kyle Larson from tonight's meeting.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilman Kyle Larson.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Mayor votes aye. I declare that a quorum is present. Chair would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as written. Any discussion? Additions or amendments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. The next item is communications from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is already on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourselves for the record.
My name is Warren Olmsted. I live at 811 Wolf Creek Drive here in Riverton. This is where they've built the apartments that you guys approved up there on Wolf Creek Drive. And my wife and I, we have a two-year-old German Shepherd. May 1st, my wife caught the dog eating a piece of tar paper in our backyard. There's tar paper, fiberglass insulation, foam insulation, and you know, dogs are dogs, they're gonna eat stuff. May 3rd, our dog had a seizure. Up to this date, he's had 9 seizures. We've got over $1,000 in vet bills and medication bills for the dog. I've researched on the internet, and paper I've got is, they call it phenol poisoning in dogs and cats. And there's quite a few things in here that I've highlighted that our dog has got the symptoms and had the symptoms, from building materials such as tar paper, roofing materials. When they built these places, one of the things they done, they had these great big sheets of some kind of thick foam that was all wrapped, sitting right outside our fence line, and of course this stuff just continuously blew over. Well, when they're using that stuff and they're cutting it to the size they need it, well, it's just like little bitty pebbles of styrofoam. Every morning I'd take my dog out before I'd go to work. I'd go out there, put him in his kennel, give him fresh water, clean. We've got a water trough for him to drink out of, and then a water trough that he can actually get into if he gets too warm and stuff like that. Every day, both of the water troughs are just full of it. So I clean it out, you know, and my wife and I both have to go to work, so we can't be there 24 hours a day with him. And then it's all over in the yard. So we locked him, stopped him from running in the yard. Well, all of this stuff's going right into the kennel. And let's see, June 20th, Cody's our dog. He had 2 seizures that day out in the backyard when we were outside with him. Well, that was the day we decided enough of that. So we've put him in the house, and when we go to work, we put him, got the garage set up with a fan and everything so that he can be in the garage. He has not had a seizure since. There's, right outside our fence line, they've got just all kinds of stuff, stacked roofing materials. They've got treated lumber, which is another item on this list here. And the wrappings and stuff that they've got on this, well, it gets shredded in the wind and it blows right into our yard. So we're dealing with keeping that stuff picked up. Styrofoam, I mowed the lawn last week before we went camping, and I bagged it, and when I dumped it, it was just loaded with all these little white styrofoam balls because they just soak right down in below the grass line and everything. One thing we wanted to find out, and my wife spoke with yourself, Mr. Mayor, sometime in the past about either a privacy fence or a wall or something outside of our property line, because the way we understand it, they're going to have parking for that one set of apartments next to us, that I don't know if they're going to just bring them right up next to our fence or what. But I know the garbage is not going to end once they get done with the construction of this place. Once it's rented out, because I can see the other apartments on College View, the dumpsters are just completely overflowed, I'd say 70% of the time, and that's what we're going to be dealing with. So I don't know if they can, if somebody can talk to them about building something to try to help protect our dog so that we don't have to keep going with this. Another thing is they've got a light structure, concrete form that they've got poured where they're going to put like street lights or whatever around the apartments. I went out and measured it yesterday. Right off the corner of our front porch, it's less than 18 feet from our front porch. It's 10 feet from our property line. Well, my concern is once they put a light up there, if that's going to shine light right into our front porch, because our porch and living room is right here, and here's that light pole right there, not to mention the bugs and stuff that it's going to create right on our front porch. The road around Wolf Creek Drive has been dug up, and they've filled it back in with dirt. Now, I don't know if once all the construction's done, if they'll come in and repave that or what. I noticed tonight when I come home from work, they've got lines and arrows all over, so I'm thinking they're getting ready to dig up on College View and then on Wolf Creek Drive. So the road's just a complete mess all the time. most of the time, we can't even use the road. I come up Hill Street as far as I can up to the water tower and make a left and go around and circle into the house because they've got there's 2 dumpsters sitting on Wolf Creek Drive right now. Cargo, utility trailers or whatever. If it's not that, they've got equipment out there. The construction guys, they just park there. It's, you know, people don't hardly use Wolf Creek Drive because it's like these guys think that they own it or something. And I pulled in there, it's been 3 weeks to a month ago. I had to go home and there was a truck parked right there at College View and Wolf Creek Drive, and I turned the corner to go to my house, and the guy sat there and looked back at me, and I just pointed that I got to go home. Well, ticked him off, but he moved his truck, you know, but what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to go park over at the college and walk across Hill Street and through the field into my house. I've got a right to get into my house, you know, but they've just completely made a mess of Wolf Creek Drive. I've spoken to one gentleman up there about the mess and stuff, and he said, well, I'll try to keep them cleaning it up and everything. And a couple weeks ago when I talked to him, I mentioned to him that my wife had already talked to somebody with the city. I believe it was the city administrator here. Well, his demeanor completely changed. I could tell he was ticked off. And I said, okay, I appreciate it, thank you. Well, they've kept it a little bit. I saw him cleaning up out front, right next to our chain link fence. I've got pictures on my cell phone if anybody wants to see it. We couldn't get them, we got them onto the computer last night, but we couldn't get them to print off on the paper. That's what I was gonna try to bring a couple pictures to let you see. And, I mean, I take my dog out, and I'll take him out to the field on the opposite side. So I come out the door and try to walk down the side of our property line to take the dog around to the other side. And they've got that stuff so crammed. I mean, right now they've got sheetrock. It's less than 1.5 feet from the back corner of our fence back there. And my dog tonight, when I took him out before we came up here, he actually had to jump up and run across the top of the sheetrock. Then they've got a broken chunk that is right behind his kennel. And, you know, it's just, something's got to be done. I would hope something can be done. You know, we had to put a dog down 2 years ago. And I don't want to do it again. So, and like I say, I don't know if they're getting ready to dig up more, then they're going to end up closing the road off just like they've done before, and then it's going to be a problem for us to get in and out of our driveway. So I don't know if there's something that the city council can do, talk to them or something on this. Because it's, you know, this is one of the main things we were concerned about with just the building, let alone once they started renting the apartments and stuff out. Because there's no reason for it to look like it does up there as far as I'm concerned. You know, I understand construction's got to be done, and that's what I've always told my wife. These guys are up there doing their job, I understand that. But I stood there one day, this has been 2 weeks ago, and they had these stacks of sheetrock. Well, sheetrock comes 2 pieces together, and the guy was standing there and ripping the strips off the end to separate them. And I mean, I stood there in my backyard and I watched him. And he had about 20 of those long strips of paper in his hand. And I'm telling myself, okay, turn around. 15 feet behind him was one of those big dumpsters when they had it parked right next to our property line. He stood right there and he dropped them. And they sat there, and we picked a bunch of them up because once the wind come in, they blew across onto our property out in front of our garage. I mean, we've got those little styrofoam things when they were working with that inside our garage. And we keep our garage door shut all the time. And, you know, like I say, a lot of that stuff comes through our chain link fence and everything. And, you know, we shouldn't have to pick stuff up for them. And I don't think they should just be leaving their messes like they do.
Well, this has certainly been quite an ordeal for you. You know, we're aware of the difficulties and so, let's see, I guess I'd like some kind of, who's the contractor on that? Is it somebody local?
No, Your Honor, they're not local. But we can talk to them some more.
Okay, is this, are they making progress on the construction in what, you know, would be kind of a normal time frame or schedule?
I know they felt that the apartments that are the single story were getting closer to being finished. The other ones have a ways to go yet. They're working interior with sheetrock, like he said, and those types of things right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can find some more information out and we can talk to him again. We do quite often talk to him about a lot of that. But obviously we need to do it more.
Okay, is there, well, I'm, you know, associated with construction, you know, is there some littering ordinance or something like that that we could work with? In other words, you know, do they have a legal obligation to manage their trash?
I imagine we probably could use the littering ordinance, Your Honor.
Well, we'll talk about that. We'll see what we can do.
We'll,
Maybe there's something that we haven't thought about on that. Okay?
Okay, how about what can we do about a privacy fence, a wall or something, or even that, if there's, I don't know what that light is gonna be. I'm concerned about that also.
Your Honor, I do have a little answer. We asked them about the privacy fence. They have not gotten back to me on that. I will ask them about that again tomorrow. The light, we specifically talked to them about that. It is to be aimed away from your property. That was one of the things that we did make sure that they were doing, and we'll make sure that that happens that way. I don't, we'll at least know, we'll know that, and I'll check on the other. I'll check on the privacy fence, because that was one of the things that I asked them. It's probably been at least 2 months ago on that, and I have not heard back.
Okay. Well, we'll keep plugging away.
Okay, how, do I need to come back to another meeting to find out progress, or?
No, we'll try to report to you.
Okay,
Okay?
all right,
All right?
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mhm. Is there anything else for consent agenda? Or for communications from the floor? That's where we're at. Okay, the next item on the agenda is for consent. Would the Deputy City Clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, June 21st, 2016, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, June 28th, 2016, special council meeting. Approval of the minutes, July 5th, 2016, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations, July 5th, 2016. Approval of discharge findings of deceased defendants for July 2016. Replat of lots 6 and 7, Ryan Park Edition, petitioner Darlene Rossi. Commercial cargo landing fees recommendation. Guardian lease agreement. Open container permit applications for livestock liquor, July 15th, 2016, for a street dance at 107 South 7th East from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. Another open container permit for the landing for July 15th, 2016, for a street dance at 229 East Main Street, 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. For Bombers, July 15th, 2016, street dance at 502 East Main from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. And Bar 10 for July 15th, 2016, for a street dance at 114 South Broadway from 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. Ordinance number 16-004 on second reading, residential zone name change. Proposed ordinance number 16-004 by title only. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning to revise chapters 17.12 zoning districts designated, 17.16, general requirements, 17.28, A, residential district, 17.32, B, residential district, 17.36, BGA residential district, and 17.40, C, residential district of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Are there any items requiring further discussion?
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Recommendations from the Finance Committee for claims to be paid in the amount of $189,402.59. Checks written for payroll liabilities for 6/24 of 2016 in the amount of $525,983.22, and manual checks in the amount of $16,662.86 for a total of $732,048.67.
Chair would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Mayor votes aye. Motion passes. Next item is a public hearing and consideration of transfer of ownership application for a retail liquor license from Back Bar Inc. to TriStar Investments Incorporated. Deputy City Clerk's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The City Clerk's Office has received an application for a retail liquor license for a transfer of ownership from Back Bar Incorporated to TriStar Investments Incorporated. The Wyoming Liquor Division has certified the application is complete. The appropriate fees have been paid and it's been advertised. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the transfer of ownership.
The chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we open the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Mayor votes aye and the motion passes. I now declare the public hearing to be open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes with other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourselves for the record. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak?
Your Honor, seeing no one is able to speak, we'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. I now declare the public hearing to be closed. The chair would entertain a motion to transfer the liquor license.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we transfer liquor license to TriStar Investments from Buck Bar Incorporated.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Mayor votes aye and motion passes. Resolution number 1341, relinquish public use of Nevin Circle. Community Development Director's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Nevin Estates Edition is a minor subdivision that was created and approved and recorded March 8, 1986 from the Helen Nevin Estate. This plat was done as a condition of the will to divide the property among heirs. Access to each parcel was required at that time, and Nevin Circle was established and granted as a public street. At this time, Karen and Alan Audi have purchased and now own all parcels in Nevin Estates Edition. They have no plans to develop the property, and they are concerned that the city might build the street that is designated as Nevin Circle through their property. The street, as shown on the plat, ends in a cul-de-sac, and there is nowhere for it to connect to other streets. Recently, we negotiated with the Audis for an easement in order to access the Big Bend drainage ditch for maintenance. During this time, we were made aware of their concerns regarding the street for public use, Nevin Circle, that is on the subdivision plat of Nevin Estates Edition. We said we would look into vacating the plat, which would remove the public street, or it was suggested that we might be able to change the street from public use to private and keep the plat intact. After research with a surveying company in the county, we found that we could change the street with a resolution that would be recorded with the county, and the street designated on the plat would no longer be for public use. The city has no reason to have the street for future public use and has acquired a separate easement for access to the Big Bend drain ditch. At their meeting on June 9th, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the change of Nevin Circle from public use to private with utility and drainage easement to remain. It is our recommendation to approve resolution number 1341, supporting the amendment of Nevin Estates Edition, relinquishing Nevin Circle as a public street.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion for the adoption of Resolution 1341.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion, we adopt resolution number 1341.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Come up the podium.
I just have one question, because we've not had very good luck with the things that the city does. So I want to ask, is this going to change anything that has to do with the easements, or the easements are already been there, but is there going to be any way that things can be changed and more easements taken? Is the city going to take care of the easements that they acquired from us? And is there, in our conversations, we were told that because there are different plats, and we're assuming that we're going to try and sell that a person can come in and build on that property, and it might straddle 2 or 3 different of the ones of those plots, the lots. That there will not be any problem with that people can, that whoever purchased that property can build and straddle 2 or 3 different lots. I just want to make sure, I want to make this clear in our minds, that if we put it up for sale, there's not going to be a stumbling block there.
Sandy, do you have a comment?
Yes, Your Honor. If someone buys 2 parcels of land and there is not an easement between those 2 parcels, if those 2 parcels are on the same warranty deed, then they could build across that lot line, which just means that the setbacks aren't required in that situation. And that was an ordinance that we changed quite some time back.
Okay, but if there was an easement through there for utilities or something like that, then you'd have to either reroute that easement, or you'd have to...
Right, that's exactly right. The easement would have to be rerouted or something to that effect. But if there are no easements, and I don't believe there are easements, I'd have to look at that plat again. I'm not sure if there are easements between those, but I don't believe so, because I think everything was off of the road.
Okay, then the only other question that I have that's related to this is that if somebody does build there, then at some time in the future, does this once again become a city street?
Your Honor, at this time, no. It would remain a private street unless the people who bought it wanted it to be a public street. They could dedicate it to the city of Riverton if someone buys it and wants the city to take care of it once they build it.
Okay.
Your Honor, the only reason we would want to have it is if it connected to some other system, and it just sits out there and it's not connected to anything. And so that's really the reason why we don't see any reason to have it.
Any future need? Does that?
One more question, does it change the zoning in any way?
No.
We've got, I think that's zoned in 4 different directions. I think it's open to just about anything. So I just want to make sure that those things, I want to put it up for sale, and I don't want to come across unknown things, so.
Do you know what the zoning is there?
Your Honor, yes, it is zoned BGA. So
BGA.
that's residential with ag, which means you can have 1 animal unit per half acre. And then residential at this point in time.
Your Honor.
Mr. Bailey?
Yeah, and I guess, Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, if there are easements in between those lots, we have in the past had people come back and replat those, let's say, 3 lots into 1 lot, and then that abandons those easements that are in between lots. So that's sort of the worst case scenario, I think, that you would have to deal with.
Well, and I guess I'm maybe back in the old days, but I understood that was zoned agriculture, commercial, light industrial, and residential. So that was when this all happened, all this platting happened in 1985. And so many things didn't get recorded. And that's where we've come into a stumbling blocks. That's why I wanted to be here, because this is going to be in the records now. Nobody can say, we went back and looked and we can't find anything here in our records. So I just want to make sure, when I put this up for sale, I don't want to be misadvertising it or misrepresenting it. And I want to make sure that we are all on the same thing.
Your Honor, this is zoned residential at this point in time. That does not mean, especially with the properties on Monroe, if those properties, and again, because there is a plat and there are specific parcels, those could easily be zoned into commercial if that's what they needed to be changed to, because that is right on a commercial area.
Okay. But that is not, that's not recorded any place from the past.
It all shows residential. It all shows as that's why it's pasture land and the animals and things that are on there right now, because that's what it's
Well, I just
allowed
want
for.
this on the record, so if anybody comes across it later down the line, well, they can find where we've discussed this.
You bet.
So, thank you.
Your Honor,
Mr. Bailey?
Mrs. Audi, I would recommend that you get a copy of your plat. And it'll have on there what the zoning is and where the lot lines are, and if there's any easements, they'll all be recorded there.
Well, all of that, I do have that. I have got several copies of it. And there are, to my knowledge from looking at that, there is not any easement through there for utilities or anything unless it was developed as a plat where it was for a housing development. Then the easements and all that kind of stuff had to be put in.
They'd have to come before us and change that.
Yeah, well,
So they can't do that without your permission,
right,
unless they buy the whole thing and then come to us afterward.
yeah, which I'm hoping. Are you open for any of that?
No,
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Mhm. So, any other discussion, questions? All those in favor of Resolution 1341, relinquish public use of Nevin Circle, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye, the motion passes. Okay, Resolution 1342, Transportation Alternative Program, TAP Grant Application. City Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. We've received an application from the Riverton Pathways Volunteers, and they're with us here, or a few of them are with us here in the audience. They approached the city a little time ago about applying for a TAP grant, which is with the Wyoming Department of Transportation to receive federal monies for the support of non-road projects that enhance systems for traveling public. Jim Gores is their chairman, and he's filled out the application that you see attached to this staff report, and he will be providing some engineering and oversight of the project as well. The total project cost is $62,000. The ratio for reimbursement is an 80-20 grant, so 80% is funded through the federal government and 20 is local. The city cannot commit any funds right now, and so that's why you see that in the resolution. Funds are contingent upon them applying with the Fremont County School District 25 and the Fremont County Recreation Board. They need $12,400 to make that match, and so we're supportive of these efforts of volunteers in our community coming forth and trying to better our community. And so this is just a resolution of support so they can apply for it, and then we'll see if they get awarded it. So staff's recommendation is to approve Resolution 1342. If there's any questions, Jim Gores is here to answer it.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion for the adoption of Resolution 1342.
Your Honor, I would move that we approve Resolution 1342.
Second?
Is there any discussion?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Jim Gores. As I think all of you know. Be happy to answer any questions you have. The strategy here, overall objective, is to try and stem the degradation, if you would, on some of the pathways around the community so that we retain the public investment that's been made in those facilities, or at least to the degree that we can, and recognizing the city and the county's budget constraints. You know, the only way that we know of to approach this issue is to seek funding that it is available through WYDOT, through the TAPS program, which is specifically geared toward non-vehicular travel, which fits in well with the overall theme of complete communities and so forth that transportation is promoting in terms of alternate methods of transportation, primarily bicycling and pedestrian walking. Anyway, the objective here is to simply see if we can't come up with some funds to do some long-needed maintenance, in this case on the rails to trails, hopefully get that crack sealed from the river all the way out to Honor Farm Road, if the funds will go that far, and at least begin the effort of trying to preserve that investment in the public infrastructure. So that's the crux of it. We're hopeful that WYDOT would recommend award of our application, and then that the matching funds could come from the two recreation districts and come up with a complete project package. So be happy to answer any other questions.
Your Honor,
Go ahead, Lee.
I have a question here. How soon do you have to have this in?
It has to be in, this application has to be in by July 15th, so this is our one and only opportunity for the city to act as sponsor for the grant, and obviously it has to be a public entity who's receiving public funds. So,
Well, our school district number 25, Fremont County School District number 25 will be meeting next Monday.
correct.
So I would recommend that you show up for that and make a presentation.
We can probably do that.
And I don't know when Fremont County Rec Board, so,
Both the school district rec board, as you well know, being on the board, awards funding in the January timeframe, if I remember correctly. County rec board awards their funding in about the March timeframe. So, you know, what we're anticipating would happen if things go as planned, that this grant would be approved. We would then come to both the District 25 Rec Board and the County Rec Board and say, we've got this much money in hand, can you see a way in the budget to award the balance that's necessary? Now, whether that comes to bear is yet to be determined. And we recognize that, but yes, we can be there at Monday night's meeting and lay out the plan. And we met with the County Rec Board and explained the scenario with them. Everyone we've spoken to date is supportive of the idea. So.
okay, thank you.
Thanks for your efforts on this, Jim.
Certainly, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, appreciate your work and interest in the trails around Riverton. I had quite a discussion today about trails. So, yeah. Thank you. All those in favor of Resolution 1342, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye and the motion passes. The next item is a bid award to the Rendezvous Asphalt Project. Public Works Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The project in question is our second asphalt resurfacing project for this current construction season, utilizing the 1% funds. The Fix Our Road Citizen Committee has worked with staff to establish plans and specifications for this project. This is one that I consider a Phase 2 project. Last year, as you remember, we invested significantly in the improvements for drainage and concrete and ADA improvements in this area. And so this year, having those improvements made, we'd like to improve the asphalt. Consequently, we are looking at North 4th West, North 5th West, Elizabeth, and the cul-de-sacs associated with those streets for surface improvements. Plans and specifications were put together for this Rendezvous School resurfacing project. We appreciate the efforts of Jim Gores and Associates in their assistance with staff on reviewing these plans and quantities. With that review, the project put out two bids, basically, a base bid and an alternate bid for review of contractors. The base bid centers on surface treatment application for North 4th West, North 5th West, and Elizabeth. The alternate bid centers on resurfacing applications for the 3 cul-de-sacs that are off of Elizabeth. The project was advertised for bid on June 1st and 8th. 2 contractors attended the mandatory pre-bid meeting. Bids were received and opened on June 22nd, 2016, with the following results. Dave's Asphalt Company of Riverton, Wyoming, for a base bid of $110,310, an alternate bid of $107,250, for a total bid of $217,560. The second was from 71 Construction of Riverton, Wyoming, with a base bid of $221,097.50, an alternate bid of $149,902.50 for a total of $371,000. Staff reviewed the bid results to assure that they were responsive to bid specifications, and therefore staff from that review recommends that the City Council awards both the base bid and the alternate bid to Dave's Asphalt Company in the amount of $217,560. The estimate from staff on this project was $230,000, so this comes under our original estimate and what we budgeted for this project. Currently, there are sufficient funds in the 1% account for this project. And another point of interest that I want to bring up at this time, as you know, this area is right next to the Rendezvous School. Paving this during the school season is a concern of ours. The project timeframe goes into September for the contract docs. However, we have coordinated with Dave's Asphalt Company. Their intention is to get this paved prior to the start of school. Should there be any delays, we want to make sure that at least during the first week of school, no work is occurring so that children and their parents can get through the first week without any added headaches. And then we'd schedule a time for the surface treatments. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Chair would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I would move that we approve the Rendezvous School resurfacing project for $217,560.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor, I have one.
Mike?
We have a recommendation on the top for $234,000, at the bid's $217,000. Is that just a contingency number, or?
Your Honor, I actually just noticed that myself, and I'd have to go back through the math. It looks like it was a typographical error.
I'll leave my motion intact as is then.
We apologize for the oversight.
So the actual amount that we're looking at here is $217,560.
Your Honor, that is correct.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. The next item is council committee reports and council members roundtable. Mr. Haley, have you got anything for us this evening?
I have nothing this time.
Mr. Canaan?
No, sir.
Mr. Martinez?
No, I don't have anything.
Ms. Peterson?
Yeah, real quick, I would just like to say thank you to Mr. Butterfield and Joel and his crew for their works throughout the parks, especially the Little League Babe Ruth fields throughout the season. They kept them going for us, so we appreciate the hard effort that they put in for us down there, and we thank you for everything that you guys have done.
Thank you. Holly?
Nothing.
Nothing. City Administrator?
I just wanted to, any chance I get, I'm gonna hit the airport, because we need to just encourage people to use the airport, and so many of us attended the open house, and it was a ribbon cutting ceremony, and that was a great event. I think we put 5 passengers on there, and they were all, felt like celebrities, because people were clapping as they were walking through the door, but it was, just encourage people to give it a try. Get on flyriverton.com and book a ticket and see how you like it. Thank you.
Your Honor,
Mr. Martinez?
I forgot something there. I'll report it now if it's all right with you.
Go right ahead.
On June 30th, I attended the Korean Veterans Awards, Medals Awards in Lander at the Community Center, and it was quite an event. And there was 50-plus veterans that were given medals by the South Korean, and they showed a little film that was very touching, a very great film. And if they do it again, I do have Pat Smith, what's her name? Lawson. She said that if anybody has any veterans that were in Korea that didn't get the awards, to come and see her, and she'll get applications, and they'll give out more medals.
Okay,
Sorry, I have forgot.
great. Thank you. I appreciate your being able to attend that, Lee, and represent the city. And you went too, Stephen said it, and it turned out it was quite a show. And so
Very touching.
very, very touching, and we owe those guys a lot.
Your Honor, one of the things they did mention that here we are known in the United States as the Forgotten War. South Korea said that they haven't forgotten it. So they thanked us profusely for all their help.
Yeah, well, most of those guys can see the other side of the DMZ from where they live. So it's pretty close to them every day. Yeah, that their country's not very large when it comes to that. So, okay. So, as the mayor's comments, we read in the paper about Lee Martinez, 50 years of is it refereeing or umpiring? of umpiring baseball in Riverton. What a record, huh? And yeah, what a record, and what a commitment to the community.
Thank you.
And I appreciated Ron Warpness, the mayor, former mayor, being able to attend the ribbon cutting up at the airport. I was out of town this weekend, and so I missed that, and I was really torn. At any rate, but former Mayor Ron Warpness, who initiated the FAST effort to bring better air service into Riverton, was able to be at the airport and cut the ribbon, and that was very appropriate that he was able to say that he'd kind of finished a project that he'd started, and we're excited about this airplane, and boy, I just hope that people will fly and try it. I know that there's some unknowns, but the people who have been flying from Sheridan have been able to adapt to the difference, and they like it, and the evidence is pretty strong. I mean, the plane that came in from Sheridan had 22 people on board from Sheridan, and so what that means, if Riverton folks are gonna get the seats, half of the seats on that plane, they're gonna have to start buying those tickets a couple of weeks or 3 weeks in advance, so that there's an opportunity to get on that plane and fly. And the price right now, $98 one way to Denver. I think that's quite a bargain when you look at, what it costs to fly, that same ticket out of Casper's, $300. And if you try to walk on, God, I think that was like $1,200. And nobody buys that ticket, right? Nobody buys that ticket. But that's the price that they have, on the sheet. So I think it's a terrific opportunity for us, and if people will respond to that and fly Riverton, then we will be in the airline business again. The other thing today, we had a funeral for Diane Tippett, who had a big impact on the city of Riverton. She did a lot for our community, and her efforts deserve mention. And we don't have an executive session tonight. And the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The mayor votes aye, and we are adjourned at 8:50.